Hello, movie patient, and welcome to Film Therapy. I'm Brienne, also known as Miss Movies, also known as your film therapist. I am not a real therapist, but I play one on the internet just for this show. And as with every session of film therapy, I have a guest patient, and my guest patient today is Jared Haibon. I said it wrong, didn't I? Haibon? Haibon.
Haibon.
Ben, like Ben instead of Bon, if I
Exactly,
think about
yeah.
it that way.
I don't know why it's
Haibon.
spelt B-O-N because it's pronounced bin, like hey, bin.
Hey,
Hey,
Ben.
Ben. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here.
Loved
I'm
it.
very excited. You were on 6 Degrees about a month ago, maybe a
Yeah,
little bit longer. I can't remember. It was probably in December. I have no idea.
for Christmas.
Okay, perfect. And then we talked about some lovely films.
Mostly like sports movies,
Mm-hmm. Well,
which
I
is
like
great.
sports movies. I'm good with the sports
Oh,
movies.
that's good.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's one
I'm
of my
down.
favorite.
I'm down with the kids sports movies. That's more my that's more my jam, more my speed.
Like Mighty Ducks.
Mighty Ducks is a great one. The Sandlot, pretty much, Little Giants
Oh, Little Giants is
sometimes.
fantastic.
So there's lots of little kid sports movies that
Oh
I'm
yeah.
into.
Rick Moranis is what is the guy who plays Al Bundy? He's the coach of the
Yes,
Cowboys. I can't
I
remember
know
his
who you're
name.
talking about.
Ed
And O'Neill.
Ed O'Neill. That
There
is
we
my
go. We
father.
got it together.
My father is Ed O'Neill to a T. He looks identical to him. He acts just like him. He's
Hmm,
huge into sports. He coached me all throughout my childhood, like
amazing.
basketball, football. It was great. So watching that movie brought back a lot of memories.
Aw, I love it. I love it. We're going to be talking about some memories today on film therapy. Here's how the show works. I'm going to ask Jared 3 questions about film. They're the same 3 questions each time until I decide to change them. What is a film that inspires you? What is a film or a scene from a film that triggers a memory for you? Perhaps it's painful, maybe it's happy. And what is a film that helps you through difficult times? So, before we do that, also disclaimer, I'm not a real therapist and neither is Jared. So, if you're having a problem, please go to your doctor, call a friend, call 911, whatever you need to get the help that you need it right now. Before we get into all this, who are you, Jared? Tell us
Hello.
about yourself.
So my name is Jared Haibon. So pretty much I'm a huge fan of film. And so I watch Miss Movies, I watch Collider, I watch every YouTube channel you could possibly think of, whether it be Screen Junkies, Collider, blah blah blah.
Hmm.
And because I love talking about movies and watching you guys, it makes me feel like I'm talking with my friends about movies.
Right.
And so it's amazing. And
It
so
absolutely
I'm
does.
literally one of you guys. I am a fan. And the reason I'm here today is because lucky enough, I was on ABC's The Bachelorette and a couple of its
Mhm.
spin-off shows called Bachelor in Paradise. And I got lucky that actually there's like a little bit of crossover with Collider. Actually, some of the people that work there used to be former producers on the show,
Yes.
which is insane. So I was able to get connected because I remember I was filming one of this seasons for Bachelor in Paradise, and I was talking to a producer, and I was talking about like whether everybody, and I specifically talked about Schmoes Know, and I was like, yeah, I
Mhm.
watch Schmoes all the time, watch the reviews, blah blah blah, and he was like, dude, I know one of the Schmoes, I know Christian, like I can introduce you. I was like, shut the hell up. And so that's how I'm here. I met everybody
Aw.
and it's fantastic. I love being here. So I love talking movies. Um, yeah, it's great.
It is great, but what I wanna know is, does it all start to bleed together if you're watching all this content? Are you like, "This is all the same. I'm just watching the same thing. Different talking heads are now saying the same things over and over again?" Does it ever
Um,
bleed together for you? Because I don't watch all this content. I watch little snippets here and there.
no, because most of the time it's very different perspectives.
Okay.
And so, because if you're, like if I'm hearing somebody over at the Real Rejects talk about Star Wars The Last Jedi, and then I come over to you and listen to you talk about Star Wars The Last Jedi,
Mm.
usually you guys talk about,
You don't wanna hear me talk about
well,
Star Wars: The Last
I'm just
Jedi.
using it as an example, but everybody has their own different perspective. And so, and usually not everybody's talking about the same thing, like things that one person likes in a movie, usually another person either doesn't or likes
Mhm.
something different or dislike what you liked. Um, and so it's good, it's fun. And that's why I could talk about movies all day. And so that's why I like watching because it makes me feel like I'm just talking with my
Mhm.
friends and a bunch of different friends. And
Right.
so, no, it doesn't really ever bleed over that much.
It used to be podcasts for me. Like if I were to listen to a podcast, I would feel like, oh, these are my friends. They're just talking to me. I'm in this conversation with them, right? I
Oh,
mean,
exactly.
obviously.
And that's why podcast is so huge right now.
Right.
Podcasts, YouTube channels. And so it feels like podcasts are taking over. I feel like everybody has podcasts.
Everybody does have a podcast.
It's crazy.
There was a joke on Twitter. This is not my joke, but I thought it was quite hilarious. And it was, if you give if you give someone a LaCroix or whatever after midnight, they will form a podcast.
Totally.
Like,
It's going to be interesting because I feel like podcasts are so big right now. It's going to be interesting what takes off next. Like, what's the
right.
next thing? Because I felt like it was YouTube,
Mm-hmm.
like specifically with this genre of like whether it be movie reviewing or even like pop culture. Like it was a lot of YouTube channels, and now I feel like it's podcasts, and I'm curious to see what happens next because there's going to be
Hmm.
something that comes next. I'm just
There
curious what
will
it is.
definitely be something that comes next, and I feel like
I feel like it
the
might go back to YouTube.
oversaturation of digital content is going to collapse a lot of stuff because people will be like, there's too much going on. I don't know what to
Absolutely.
select anymore. And I don't know. There used to be a time when we had this camaraderie, like, because there were only we didn't have cable TV. Like, there was a time when we didn't have cable TV and I was a little kid. And so there was just this time when you really only had a certain amount of shows that you would watch, and so, like, people would talk about those shows weekly,
Oh, of
together,
course.
and now it's kinda like, well, there's so many different things, so many different places that you don't have that shared experience as much anymore with people directly, like, in front of you. You have those experiences with people all over the internet and all over the world, which is
Mm.
great, but to have that one-on-one with someone right in front of you is pretty much, for the most part, gone unless, like, you are watching the things together at the same time.
Yeah, I agree.
So
I think a lot of the market is oversaturated right now. And like you even said, TV. Think about how many channels you have, television channels, and how many shows there are in the world
mhm,
today.
it's
Um,
crazy.
yeah, it's insane to think about. Sorry, we're like going on a little tangent.
Way on a tangent, but that's okay. Let's get into our first question, which is, what is a film that inspires you?
Oh, a film that inspires me. It's actually a really difficult question because I feel like there's a lot of movies out there that inspire me in different ways. Like
Right.
if I watch Rocky, that inspires me.
Hmm.
But if I watch Shawshank Redemption, that also inspires me in different ways.
Yes.
But I think if I'm because I was trying to think about this question, I was trying to think about this question personally for me, like what movie inspires me the most? And it's gonna sound really corny, but I have to say it's the 1978 Superman, the Richard Donner
Okay.
Superman.
This does not surprise me.
No, because and that's the thing. I wanted to have an answer that was surprising and
Hmm.
wasn't common. Um, but if I'm being honest with myself, it's definitely that movie for the simple fact that I am a, my favorite character of all time is Superman.
Hmm.
Um, and while a lot of people don't find him relatable, I do.
All right.
Because I think I view him as more of a man than an alien, if that makes any sense. Like I view, especially the way Christopher Reeve portrayed him, like I view Clark Kent as this guy who's lost in the world, who doesn't really know his place, who has his insecurities and doubts, and then he becomes this hero in Superman, and you can see it. Like you can see his confidence rising when he's Superman. His shoulders are back, and his voice is
Hmm.
deeper, um, and like everybody loves him. And yet, at his core, he's just this humbled man who's just
Yes.
trying to do the right thing. And you can see that in the movie. Like one scene that I always point out is it's right after Superman and Lois. They have that flying sequence. I don't know if you remember the
Yes.
movie at all.
I
Um,
saw it not that long ago. Within the last 5 years, I rewatched it. So yeah.
Um, and so there's this great sequence where Superman comes to Lois and they have their interview, and then they have this beautiful flying sequence, which is a little over the top. It's not my favorite part of the movie, but and then he brings her back, and then Clark comes in, like Superman flies
Right.
off, and then Clark comes through the
Yes.
door knocking. And then it's that great scene where Lois is just bewildered and she's like, she has, she's like, that's Clark nice, and she doesn't know what's going on because she's just so infatuated with Superman. And then Clark, like she walks away, and there's this great scene where Christopher Reeve like takes off his glasses and he kind of stands up a little straight, and he has this moment where he wants to tell Lois who he
Hmm.
really is, and he doesn't because it's just it's this great little scene of like how Superman is this truly humbled person where he could easily tell. Like for me, oh God, it's hard to articulate, but like I think there's something to be said about somebody who doesn't need the fanfare, if that makes any sense.
Right.
Like, it's this Superman, Clark Kent is this guy. For me personally, I get it. He's an alien, but for me, he's just this guy trying to do the right thing. And a lot of people in this world, especially with Instagram or social media, when they're trying to do the right thing, they often post about it.
Yes.
Like I was at the Women's March in downtown LA, and I can't tell you how many times people were taking selfies or videoing, and that's great because you want to spread the message. But I also think there's a certain vanity to them saying like,
Right.
"Oh, I'm
Look,
here, I'm
I'm
doing the right
here.
thing," or
Yes.
like, people like I've had friends from the Bachelor franchise. They'll go to children's hospitals, but they'll have like somebody filming them like, you know, with these kids, which is great, but it's just
Mhm.
really, why are you filming yourself like doing a great deed? But do you need like this reassurance or this? Are you looking for somebody to comment saying you're a great person? And for
Right.
me, with Superman, he doesn't need that, and I love that, and I love the scene where like
Mhm.
they're getting robbed in the back alley, and Clark like pretends to faint, but he actually catches the bullet. And it's just this great scene where like he like Lois is viewing him as this wimp who fainted, who can't protect her, even though he is the one who saved her life. And it's this great shot where she walks away and he has the bullet, and like the John Williams score comes up a little bit. And it's really inspiring to see somebody who can try to do the right thing, who wants to do the right thing and doesn't need any type of fanfare, or it doesn't need the reassurance of people telling him how great he is, if that makes any sense.
Yes.
I don't know. What are your
Yeah.
thoughts about that?
No, that's definitely I find that to be true as well. I do think it's interesting that his alter ego is Clark Kent. Like he is Superman and like he gets to come out and be himself
And he's
when
like the
he's
only
in his
hero that way.
outfit. Right. He's the everyone else their alter ego is their superhero alter ego.
Mm.
His is that he's a normal person is his alter ego.
Yeah.
So I find that really fascinating because he's the only one that is that way.
Yeah. Like Batman is like Bruce Wayne is who he actually is, and he becomes Batman when he puts the
Right.
mask on. With Superman, he is Superman, and he disguises
Mhm.
himself as Clark Kent because he has to, because he needs to kind of keep this low profile, because at his core, at his heart, he's just a good
Yes.
man trying to do the right thing.
I'm going to bring in religion for a moment. So
Totally.
do you find Superman is Jesus?
Uh well, the thing for me personally is that I'm not that religious.
Okay.
I believe in more of energy of things
Okay.
rather than like I believe yeah. I'm not sure if I believe in a God that intervenes in our lives every day. We're getting really deep here, but
It's all right.
I do believe in energy. Like I do
Mhm.
believe that things are connected and that there is something after death, because what we are is energy. And I don't, Einstein said energy can't die, it only can be transformed. And
Mhm.
so I believe that. I believe that we are just all energy. And I don't know if you want to call that an afterlife or heaven. You can phrase it
Mhm.
any way you want. So that's why I kind of am able to separate Superman from a Jesus like figure. Um, for me, I view that character not so much in a religious context, but more so of this guy who was given these abilities, was born with these abilities, who's trying to find his place in the world, who's just trying to do the best he can, um, and that's why I love the
Mhm.
character so much.
Yeah.
Because it's not like he's not motivated by anything except goodwill or trying to see the good in
Yes.
people, which is something that I think is lost in today's society. So it's nice to see a character who's trying to showcase hope and put faith back in people, that there is good in
Mhm.
this world.
I think also to your point, I don't think you have to believe in Jesus
Mhm.
to recognize that he is reflecting of that person.
Totally.
So, I think Elise McKenna said it. Maybe it was Laura. Laura says, "I don't believe in Jesus, but I believe in Jesus allegories." And I feel like that
That's
is
true.
Superman for me. Like I see that and I'm like, "Oh, he's the Jesus figure." And I love that. I
Yeah.
love that a lot of movies portray a Jesus-like figure as well.
Yeah.
Like and I like to recognize like biblical allegories and
Totally.
things.
And I think that's the cool thing about any type of art, because
Mhm.
people can interpret it the way that they see it. Like I could listen to a song and interpret it one way, and somebody could listen to the same song and interpret it a completely different way. And
Right.
that's the cool thing about whether it be music or painting or movies or any type of art form, is that people can look at the same thing and have two different opinions on it. Um, and that's what's really cool about it.
Mhm.
Like
I
not.
I love the recent one that was come up that I've seen online. People are talking more about Get Out because it was nominated for Best Picture,
Mhm.
and they're talking about the scene where she's eating the Fruit Loops separate from the milk, and people are
Yeah,
like, "Oh, it's because she's got to keep the colored things away from the pure things or whatever." And I guess Jordan Peele at the time had an interview that was like, "I just thought it was a really creepy way to eat cereal."
that's
That's why
crazy.
he did it rather than like, "Oh, I'm gonna make this like some sort of symbolism."
Oh, of course, and I think we do that all the time, especially with movies
Mhm.
or movie franchises we cherish. Like, I know we mentioned, like, whether it be a Star Wars or some, like, big movie franchise, like, everything that's done in the movie, as fans, we overanalyze and think that
Of
there's, like,
course.
some bigger metaphor, and it's like, "No, I just thought that
Yes.
was cool, but you guys can take it any way you want." But that's the cool thing about being a fan of a movie. Like, I can watch
Mhm.
something and be like, "Oh, I think they meant this by it," or, like, "There's this bigger meaning behind it." It's pretty cool. Actually, I watched the Honest trailer. Did you watch the Honest trailer from Screen Junkies on Get Out?
Yeah, I did watch the Honest trailer
And
for
it's
Get Out.
great. I
It's
never.
really good.
It's so good, and I never picked up on the things of like all the white people were driving black cars to symbolize
Okay,
that they were
right.
like in the mines, like driving black
Yes.
bodies, and then or like what was the other one that he brought up? Shit, I can't think of it now.
I
But it was like
know.
all these
There
little
was
things that you're
one
like,
thing that I
oh,
was like, "I didn't think of that before," like, when I
totally,
thought of it. I was like, "Hmm, that's good
yeah. So it's
that's
pretty
good
cool. So now,
representation."
totally. Now, so now I have to go back and watch Get Out so I can like
Mhm.
pick up everything.
Yeah, they watch that movie, like, probably, I don't know, 20, 30 times before they write that honest trailer. Like, I remember going in once for movie fights. This was back when I did fact checking, and it was the episode where it was the first episode where they had all 3 females on the panel. Like, it was a big deal, and I was fact checking for that. I was Alicia Malone, Trisha Hirschberger, and Chloe Dykstra. And, right before Dan goes to leave to hand off the computer to me so I can fact check, he's like, "I'm gonna go to my desk and watch 8 Mile." And it's like the way he said it, the presentation of how he said that, I was just like, "That's
Yeah.
okay. All right, Dan, you go do that." And he's
It,
like, "Oh, we're doing an honest trailer on it, so I have to watch it over and over and over."
and that's when it becomes work,
Yeah. And you're
and you can
like,
see that.
"I'm so tired of watching this movie over again."
Absolutely.
Oh, man. But yeah, Get Out, man. I don't know how we got to this, but we did,
I don't
and I
know.
love it. Let's get
That's
to our next question.
well, also, can I
Oh,
just say
yes.
one more thing about that? And the reason
Mhm.
that like this inspires me is because Superman is the character that I've beloved my entire life, is that I in as, aspire to be more like Superman, if that makes
Of
any sense.
course.
Like I can't fly,
Right.
unfortunately. I
No.
can't see through walls. I don't have, red beams of heat coming out of my eyes. But his morals, the person that he aspires
Mhm.
to be like is the person that I want to aspire to be like. Somebody
Yes.
who's just trying to do the right thing. Because I don't. I'm human, and I realized a long time ago that I make thousands of thousands of mistakes daily. And so for me to like see a character like Superman, I view him as a man trying to do the right thing. Um, and that's something I aspire to be like as well.
I think we should all aspire to be like that,
I think
to
I
be better.
totally I think there's nothing wrong with aspiring to like be like Superman. I know that sounds really corny, but it's just how I feel, and that's why that movie inspires me.
Very good. It inspires me as well. All right, our second question is, what is a film or a scene from a film that triggers a memory for you? Perhaps it's painful, maybe it's happy.
This was a hard one
It
because
is.
I was trying to think of a movie scene that really triggered a specific memory for me. It was really difficult to think. One scene that really triggers me, I'm not sure if it's so much a memory, but it's a scene, it's like the most cliche, it's kind of made fun of now, but I still love it, is the scene in American Beauty with the plastic bag.
Okay.
Um because I
Describe the scene for us. For those that have not seen American
so
Beauty, if you have not seen it.
yeah, it's been a little while since I've seen the movie, but it was the Kevin Spacey's daughter and the sorry, my
Played
phone
by
was
Thora Birch.
Thora Birch, yes. And do you remember the actor's name? What is his name?
I don't remember the teenage boy that played like the neighbor across the street, but it's
And he
the
was
neighbor across the street who just moved in.
yep, and it's Chris Cooper's son.
Mhm.
And so and they form this unique bond throughout the movie. He's kind of a loner. He's always taking pictures. People view him as weird. Um, and so they start to form a bond, these two characters, and he asks her if she wants to see the most beautiful thing he's ever seen. What?
Laura says it's Wes
Wes
Bentley. Thank you,
Bentley.
Laura.
Thank you, appreciate it. And so they're watching this scene that he filmed of a plastic bag just blowing in the wind, and Thomas Newman's score is behind it, and it's one of the best scores I've ever heard. And he talks about how much there's so much beauty in the world that sometimes his heart feels like he just can't take it. And I love that scene so much because I think a lot of times, not just in society, but me personally as well, I take things for granted or I don't appreciate um, the wonderful things that are in my life, and so it's nice to be reminded when I watch that scene that even if it's just a plastic bag blowing in the wind, there's a lot of beautiful things in this world happening right in front of us. Um, and because our minds are going a mile a minute and we're always thinking 10 steps ahead and we're thinking about the future, we forget to live in the moment.
Mm.
And that's one of those moments where, like, it's so simplistic and yet it's wonderful because it just reminds me to kind of be more present in the moment, and that there are things
Yes.
that you might view as ridiculous that I view as beautiful. I don't know
Right.
how to
Like
describe.
spider webs.
Totally.
Before I would be like, I hate spider webs because I don't want to walk into one. But now I'm like, look at how cool that is. Like, how did that creature do that?
Yeah. And one of my favorite so this kind of it goes it's not off topic, but so my favorite artist of all time is Rob Thomas. He wrote this song called Little Wonders for Meet the Robinsons.
Oh, Meet the Robinsons. That's a
Great,
cute
right?
movie.
It's awesome. So he wrote this movie. Excuse me. He wrote this song. Apparently, Disney came to him and was like, "Hey, do you want to write a song for Meet the Robinsons?" And Rob Thomas, the lead singer of Matchbox 20, he's like, "I don't know if I'd be good for it. Like, I'm more like angst, blah blah blah." So he's trying to think of an idea of like, "All right, what am I going to write for a kids movie?" And then one day, apparently, he was in New York. His dog had to go outside. It's pouring outside. It's cold. He's like, "Oh, I don't want to take this dog out." And he's like, "All right, let's go, hurry up." So he's outside. He's like, "Come on, hurry up." And he's miserable. It's raining. It's cold. He doesn't want to be out there. And he looks down, and his dog is as happy as can be. His tail is going a mile a minute because he's like, "Dad, we're outside. Like, how cool is this? We're outside." And he realized in that moment that there was a moment to be had, and he was missing it. And because he was miserable because it's cold out, and yet this dog is just outside and couldn't be
Hmm.
happier for the simple fact that he's outside. And so he describes that he wrote this entire song called Little Wonders about how there's all these moments in our life that are just passing us by, that there's so much beauty within them and we don't even realize it because our minds are always someplace else. And so
Yes.
that scene in American Beauty really triggers me because it reminds me that I need to be more present in the moment, because I feel like there's been a lot of
Mm.
experiences in my own life that have just passed me by. I felt like a passenger in my own body for the simple fact that my mind was someplace else and I was missing what was most important and most beautiful to me, which was right in front of me, even if it's just a plastic bag blowing in the wind. And so that's why that scene really impacts me because I do think that there's so much beauty. Like there are times when, yeah, my heart just feels like it explodes because not so much that because there's just so much emotion. I don't know how to
Yeah.
describe it. Like sometimes I just feel weighed down by it. Like when I think about the important things in my life, whether it be my family, the people I care about most, the experiences that I cherish, the moments that I cherish. Because I think just like anybody else, I'm fearful of the future. You know, I'm
Hmm.
fearful of you know, of losing loved ones or where life will take me. There are a lot of times where I get anxiety and stressed out because I'm not where I want to be in life. And so for me, it's good to remind myself to be in the moment and to realize that um, you know sometimes the most beautiful things in the world are the simplest things.
They are the simplest things. This speaks to me a lot because I went through I'm going through currently, I would say, a time of transition and catharsis, if you will. Like I wrote down, and I put this on my Twitter and Instagram, even though I can do things without validation. But I put out like I've been thinking about, if I were on my deathbed today, what would I say? What things would I say about myself? Like, I wish I did this or I wish I did that. So I wrote down those things, those thoughts of my wishes of how I wish I could have been, so that way I can now work backwards.
Yeah.
And hopefully when I get to that point, I'll be like, I met those things, I met those goals. Um, I'll go through them real quick because there's only a few. Mine is, I wish I spent more time with God. I wish that I spent more time serving others. I wish I spent less time serving myself. And I wish that I found my way back to teaching in some capacity, or that I delved deeper into learning about production off camera. Because being on camera is one thing, and it's nice, but it's not everything. Like, it fills my cup to a certain amount, but I feel like I have more that I could give in different areas and to other companies or people. But yeah, I just feel like I'm at that precipice of ready to turn over a new leaf and to make a lot of changes. So I know for sure in my life there's going to be a lot of changes this year, so I can get to a point where I feel like I don't have to have those wishes later on in life.
Yeah, of course. And that's one thing I think about a lot as well is, for me, it's not a good mindset to be in, but I am always fearful of, what if I were to die today? Like, what were the things, like you said, like I would be regretful of, you
Mhm.
know? And so I try to look back at my life and think about, if I were on my deathbed, what would be the things that I would be thinking of? What would be the moments that I would cherish more than anything and would give um, anything just to experience 5 minutes
Mhm.
of? And so a lot of it is family. And so, like for me, I'm from Rhode Island, and so all my family's in Rhode Island. So like coming to LA has been a little difficult transition because I am very close with my parents and my sister and my other family out there, my friends out there. And so it makes me question, am I not wasting my time, but am I not using my time as best as I can? Um, should I be spending as much time as I possibly can with them? But I don't know. It's so tough. I go back and forth because I think that's a terrible mindset, because you always have to plan for the future as well. Because if you only live in the moment, um, then you're not going to really achieve any type of dreams that you have for the future. God, it's tough. Life is interesting.
Life is interesting.
God.
I did want to point out that someone said that you look like, Michael said Jared kind of looks like Wes's character in Hunger Games.
Ooh,
I think that's a
I'll
compliment.
take that as
Seneca
a comment.
Crane.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
I mean, I wish we had seen that character more, but that's just kind of what happens in Hunger Games.
I know, right? Everybody just gets killed off.
That's right. All right, let's get into our final question. What is
Sweet.
a film that helps you through difficult times?
Uh, there's a lot of movies that help me through difficult times. It's gonna sound so stupid.
Is it Warrior? Because everyone talks about Warrior in this show.
No, it's
Okay,
not
great.
Warrior. It was gonna be.
I mean, I
Ah,
love Warrior. Don't get me wrong, guys. I love it. I just didn't realize that this show would like bring that. I thought Rocky would be like one that people would really bring up, but no,
oh yeah, Rocky helped.
Warrior.
Oh, totally. I can see Rocky helping. I've watched Rocky in some dark
Hmm.
times before. It really inspires you.
Hmm.
Um, this is gonna sound so stupid. Have you ever seen The Girl Next Door?
The Girl Next Door with Alicia
Yeah,
Cuthbert.
and Emil Hirsch.
Okay, yes, I have.
All right.
It's been a while. I don't know if I remember much about it, but I do like Emil Hirsch.
Well,
He followed me on Twitter for
he
a
did.
year or so, and then
That's
decided
badass,
like, I guess I'm done with
dude. Emil, follow her. What are you
her.
doing?
Oh well, I was
Um,
sad.
Oh, that sucks. I would love if Emil Hirsch followed me. He was one of my favorite actors growing up.
So good.
Um, And the reason I bring this up is because in the movie, like I'll never forget. So I went on one of my first dates with my former girlfriend. We dated for years. Was like we're gonna rent a movie and we were gonna go to her mom's house and we were gonna watch it. And so I
Like
was
Adam video store?
at a video store. I
Okay,
used to work at
perfect.
Hollywood Video
Yeah, I worked at
for
Blockbuster, so
well, Blockbuster
mhm.
sucks.
I think
Hollywood
it
Video is way
lasted way
better.
longer than Hollywood
It did.
Video.
Blockbuster was way bigger than Hollywood Video. I miss video stores, by the way. I
I
miss going to
know.
a video store. It's so nostalgic to go and like go through the
It's the
aisles.
event.
It's
Like, you
exactly an
decide
event.
on something
Yeah,
rather than, like, it just being there and you flip through and to find, like, it's a different thing. You have to walk around, take a look, like
totally.
and
It's
then you're like, "This is all out? What?" Like, and then you have to make other decisions.
exactly, and
It is nice.
it sucks because everything is digitalized. So like even whether it be going to a movie store and picking out a movie, or even like going through photo albums. I miss going through photo albums.
Mhm.
Everything is on Facebook now. So like when I miss the experience of seeing an old picture and being like, holy shit, that's right. Like I forgot about that. I forgot
Yeah.
this picture was taken. But now everything is posted on Facebook. So I
Mhm.
to go back to saturation, like I just view a photo so many times that it's just nothing to me anymore.
Right.
And so I miss that. I miss like I'm lucky that we're still in the generation like my parents have photo albums, so I can go back and look at baby pictures. But other than that, like my entire life is pretty much digitalized on social media from
Mhm.
high school on. And I think I miss the nostalgia of looking back on old photos and like having these memories brought back to me. Anyway, so but the reason I bring up the girl next door, so I picked the girl next door,
Video store. Okay.
video
Girl
store,
next door.
went first date. I picked the girl next door. I had seen it before,
So you're
and
like,
she
"I
was
know. I know what we're getting into."
totally, and she was like, "What's this about?" And I was like, "Ah, shit." And I was like, "Well, it's kind of
Is
about
this
like
porn
porn
star?
industry." Remind you, this is the second time we've ever hung out,
Yeah.
but I had so much faith
She'd
in
be
this
like,
movie. Yeah,
what?"
she was like, what?" And especially we were going back to her mom's house, and I was like, "No, it's like it's a long story to talk about, but I promise you, you're gonna really like this movie." And the reason I bring that up because I relate a lot to Emil Hirsch's character in that movie because he's graduating high school. He's unsure about his place in the world. He's very insecure, has a lot of doubts in himself as a man of where he's going. He can't talk to girls. He's awkward. And so here comes this exotic woman that is nothing like he ever imagined being with in terms of a girl. And she forces him out of his comfort zone. And I really enjoy that because I need someone to force me out of my comfort zone, and so I relate a
Hmm.
lot to Emil Hirsch's character Matthew in that movie. And there's this scene where he like brings her to a party, and he's surrounded by all the jocks and all the good-looking guys, and like guys that he views this girl should be dating and not him. And so he's at the party, and then the jock like steals her away and starts talking to her. And he's forced to really make a decision because he was about to leave the party because he's down on himself. He feels sorry. But instead of
Yeah.
doing that, he finally rises to the occasion and goes over. And it's this great moment. It's super corny, but whatever. I don't care. And he goes over to her and he pushes the jock out of the way. He's like, "Excuse me." And then he kisses her. And then a David Gray song plays and whatever. But it's just this great moment because for me, I've found myself in so many different situations, not only with girls, but in life in general, career, family, things of that nature, where I've found that I've been the guy who leaves the party,
Hmm.
like who doesn't rise to the occasion, um, and looks back and regrets. And so to see a character that I relate to, that I see a lot of my own personality traits in, that actually doesn't leave the party and stays there and goes after the girl and isn't like has the courage to do what he wants to do, um uh is just, yeah, something that I go back and watch that scene and it just makes me feel better because it makes me feel like I have the uh
If he can do it,
I can do it
I
as well.
can do it too.
Totally.
Yes.
And so like if
Yes.
I'm feeling down about myself, like, oh, I like rom-coms anyway. Like
Okay, good.
10 Things I Hate About You is one
Love
of my
that
favorite
movie.
movies of
Love
all
that.
time. It's
Yes.
great. How can you not? And so when I watched that movie and throughout the entire movie he does that. Like she dumps him, she's going back into the porn industry, but he goes to Vegas and like he gives her the drawing. Like earlier in the movie they were at like a diner and she drew a picture of herself like on a crayon and gave it to him and he kept it. And then when she decided no, like I need to go back to to the industry that, I have to do this. I don't want to do it, but I have to do it because I don't know any other life. I don't know other any
Mhm.
way. And he goes to Vegas and he like goes to this conference and it's this very lighthearted, funny scene. But he walks up to her and he gives her the drawing that she gave him earlier, and it's just this very sweet scene. And so throughout the entire movie, he just keeps, um, finding the courage to do what he wants. And so for me, watching that movie, it makes me feel better because it makes me feel like, it gives me almost the courage to do what I want. If that makes
There
any
you go.
sense.
That does make sense.
Yeah. I know it's a
I like
very
that.
odd choice, but for me, like any type of movie that makes me feel better is a movie that I relate to.
Yeah, of course,
Um,
you have to.
totally. And I guess like a movie like something like Rocky, um, like yeah, it makes me feel better, but I just feel like with a movie
It's
that's
not what you would choose to put on,
totally. Yeah, yeah,
though.
yeah, totally.
You gotta choose something that you're, like, familiar with, that you relate to, that you
So
can just watch and know all the beats and probably know all the lines, so that way you can just be like, "I don't even have to sit down and watch this. It can just be on while I'm doing other things, and I,
absolutely.
like, know," and it gives me that comfort.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Mm.
What movie do you put on? I know you probably didn't
Um
ask this every time, but
Sure. You know what? There's a variety of different things. Usually my go-to is The Parent Trap, the original Parent Trap, because that reminds me of my sister.
Mhm.
Clue is another one. We were talking about Clue earlier, and Star Drew brought it up. And if you're still here, Star Drew, I'm furious about any sort of remake with anyone.
Me too.
So there was like one recently. I think it was like a TV movie with like teenagers. I swear. So I don't know about that one. Supposedly, there's a Ryan Reynolds one that's going to be happening. I will see it. I'm not happy about it. I'll probably go in very angry, but I will still see it, and it will hurt me that this will be the Clue of this generation. Like that will hurt my heart.
I know.
But
There can only be one Wadsworth.
I won't be angry like on social media about it, being like, like I have to wait till it's done and I want to see it, and then I can be angry
Is
about
that
it.
is that is that how you sound on social media?
That is how I sound. So whenever
Me
you
too.
read a tweet by me, it's me going, if I'm
Pretty much.
complaining, if I'm complaining,
Oh, totally. Me too.
which I'm complaining a lot of times.
I always
Maybe not
complain.
all times.
That's what
Maybe
Twitter's
not
for,
all.
right?
I guess. That's another goal of mine is to be less on Twitter, less online, more in line with life that's happening right
Totally.
in front of me.
It's so curious.
So,
Yeah, I always say this. With the social media age, we've never been more connected, and we've also
and
never been more
disconnected.
disconnected
Yes.
in this life.
I need to see that movie. I swear, shoot, why can't I think of his name? Jason Bateman is in it. I want to say it's called Disconnect, or it came out a few years ago. I want to say it came out like 2012 or
Mhm.
something, but it was about like social media taking over your life. And then it was kind of a thriller in a way too, like at the dangers of social media taking over your life.
Oh,
And,
there's a lot of dangers. Did you
and,
see the Black Mirror episode?
which one? The
The one with
nosedive?
the one with what's her name?
Bryce Dallas
Bryce Dallas
Howard,
Howard.
yes. Nosedive, yes.
Yeah,
We kinda do that with Uber, if you think about it.
absolutely. Yeah, we have a rating. Like you and I have a rating on
I
Uber.
know, even though I'm not a driver, I know.
I know. It's like, what do you rate me on? Am I ready to go? Do I
Maybe.
listen? Because especially when an Uber driver starts talking to me, I'm like, am I getting a lower rating if I'm not that interactive?
Mhm,
Because sometimes I just want to put my headphones in and listen to like my own thing because they're listening to music.
mhm.
But I'm like, am I getting a lower rating because I'm not that talkative with them? It's so weird. God, I hate it.
And do you
It's
think that they like, if they feel like, "Oh, maybe they'll give me a bad rating," then they'll give you, like, one too?
totally, it's this like
I mean,
unsaid weird thing that like
and you don't know.
you
It's
don't
not like
know.
you don't know who gave you that rating, so
Yeah,
you
it's like,
just kinda
bro, if you're getting me from point A to point B safely, I'm giving you
5.
5 stars,
Yeah.
you know?
My sister would tell people, like, tell them when she left, like, if she's giving them 5 stars. Like, she will say I don't think she'd say if it was lower than that,
Yeah,
but
which
she'd be like, "5 stars, thanks."
oh, okay, well,
So
that's
that
kinda
way,
sweet. Yeah,
then,
she's not leaving
like,
the car being like, "Oh, 2 stars, this was awful."
yeah, no, I don't think if it was bad, I don't think she would say, like,
Yeah,
"Oh,
she would
man,
just not
1
say
star for
anything.
you."
I
I think she just wouldn't say anything,
I
but if
wo
it's fine, 5 stars, thanks.
I wonder if, like, Uber drivers have, like, some sort of chat where they talk about, like I that's ridiculous. I'm
I don't
overthinking things. There's
talk
no
about
way.
their passengers? I don't think so.
Or, like, if my profile comes up, or, like, I'm picking up Jared, if, like, under my profile within Uber drivers, there's
Yeah.
some way for an Uber
I
driver
don't
to, like,
know.
leave a comment on me.
Good question. I have no idea.
That's very interesting. I wonder
I
if
don't
that's
know.
possible. I wonder if there's
It's like
comments.
your confidential doctor records. Like only
Seriously.
only other drivers can see it.
Yeah, only Uber drivers. It's very confidential. Can't pull the record.
Oh
Um,
man.
what was the last question? What? Oh, makes me put in a better mood. You know what it is too for me? It's
Mhm.
not even whole movies a lot of the time that makes me feel better. If I'm going through a dark time, it's scenes. Like I
Sure.
will YouTube different scenes that make me feel better within the moment.
Hmm.
Um, like this is gonna sound really
Oh wait,
stupid.
hold on. Before you tell us that
So
scene, we might do movie prescription right after this, which means if you have a problem, tell us about it in the chat, and then we'll prescribe you a movie. Okay, back to you telling
love
us
that.
about the scene, and
Um,
now you probably forgot about
no, like to go back,
it.
even like American Beauty, because it was came up like the scene at the end. It's like we're obviously talking about Kevin Spacey right now, but he is in the movie, and
Hmm.
what are you gonna do? And but when his character, at the end, where he finally finds true beauty and realizes, um, that he's had love all the time, and he loves his daughter, and blah blah blah, and he asks his daughter's friend, like, "What?" I think her name is Jenny, but he's like, "How's Jenny?" And she's like, "It's good." And he's like, and she's like, "What do you mean?" And he's like, "I don't know. Like, how's her life?" Like, it was just this great, sweet moment, where he finally realizes what true beauty is, and that always makes me feel better too. I don't know, any type of scene in a movie where a character comes to a realization that, um, uh,
Just that epiphany moment,
yeah,
like the light has finally gone on.
exactly. Those are the moments that always make me feel better about life, if that makes any
Yeah,
sense.
no, that makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense. So far, we don't have any problems in the chat, so we can't prescribe anything just yet. Do you have a problem that you are working through? And it could be anything from my handwriting sucks to to I don't know.
I think for me, a problem that I've always had that I'm trying to overcome now is, um, to actually, uh, have the courage to say what I mean, if that makes any
Hmm.
sense.
A movie where people will just say what they mean. They have no filter. Oh gosh, I if my mom was in the movie,
Yeah,
it would totally be. I would prescribe you that one.
there we
Maybe
go.
my home videos.
There we go. Yes.
There, you can watch them, and you'll
Yes,
see
man.
Nancy,
Just
and
say
she will
yes
just
to
say
everything.
what is on her mind all the
Your
time.
mom's name is Nancy?
Yes.
Oh, mine too.
Hey,
Yeah,
with an
Nancy's.
EY or just Y?
Just why?
Mine's with an EY. What do you
Ooh,
know? Fancy,
fancy,
fancy.
very
Here
fancy.
is from Rachel. I need a few movies to keep my mind occupied until my tour's over and I get to move back to somewhere. I can't see it because it's cut off. I don't know why it cuts off on my. I have no idea why. I don't know. To keep your mind occupied.
I'm assuming tour as in.
She does merchandise for an American in Paris. She gave me a nice An American in Paris shirt. I love it. I've worn it like 3 times already
Oh,
since I got
wow.
it, which was like last week when I got it. Um, so thank you, Rachel. Let's see. A
Thank you,
movie
Rachel.
you should watch. I'm gonna go ahead and go with obviously The Greatest Showman because you like musicals. But in addition to that, let's go with something that you can access on Netflix. We'll go with Icarus because that one's really good. It's a documentary. I was telling Jared about it before we started, and it's just about how doping, how people got away with doping in the Olympics.
Mhm.
So that's really interesting. So check that out.
Rachel, I guess it depends on what you're looking to get distracted from, if that makes
That's
any
true.
sense. Because like I don't want to give you a movie that's going to
Think
just
make you think about
make you think
yes,
about the things that you want to be distracted from, and so that's
that's
where
true.
it's so 4 times already. Would you see already?
Um, she saw probably The Greatest Showman 4 times already, I'm guessing. Elise McKenna needs a prescription for overthinking potential problems. Analyze this? Is that what you should watch?
That should be,
Maybe.
yeah, very lighthearted.
Did you ever see
Over.
that movie Mumford with
No,
Jason Lee? It was terrible. I don't recommend that movie, so don't watch that one. But I thought about it because it was like therapist, analyze this, therapist, Mumford, not
yep,
good, not
gotcha.
good.
Makes
That's where
perfect
my
sense.
mind went. So there you
Overthinking
go.
things. What is a movie that could be recommended for you not to overthink things?
Just
Um,
something, any sort of superhero movies, I
Pretty
feel,
much,
because
yeah.
the plot for you is just laid out. You don't have to like really think about certain things. You can just kind of go with it.
I wonder if there's a movie out there though about a character that does overthink things and is in their own head all the time,
Hmm.
and then
Inside Out?
oh
I
yeah,
mean, we're literally in the head.
which yes,
So maybe we could try that one.
Inside Out, that would be great. For a minute, I thought you said In and Out. Do you
Oh,
remember that
I
movie?
did not see that one, but I know it's
Oh.
Kevin Kline
Yeah, and he comes
and
out.
Joan Cusack.
Yes,
Yes,
he's like
yeah.
getting married to Joan, but he's
Mhm.
actually gay. It's fantastic, and it has one of the funniest scenes I've ever seen in a movie where he's trying to become more manly, so he buys like a cassette that's like how to be a man, and it's
Aw,
just this great scene where he completely fails it, but it's
I gotta
hysterical.
see it. That was on the wall at Blockbuster when I worked there.
Oh
So
yeah,
yeah, it was like in the new releases.
I first started working at Hollywood Video when Star Wars Episode 3 first came out on
Mhm.
DVD. Yeah.
Star Drew, you obviously left when we were talking about Ryan Reynolds in the Clue movie, and we
Mhm.
mentioned you, and I'm very sad to see that you did not hear that. So you're gonna have to go back and watch it.
Seeking for a Friend at the End of the World. Yep, that's a
Mm.
great one. God, I wish nothing's coming to mind. I feel like I'm gonna leave here and think of so many movies that you can think of. Um, yeah, not to
Hmm.
I don't know, Crazy Stupid Love. It's so kind
Oh, I
of
like that one.
I love it because I love the idea of uh I think like Steve Carell's character in that movie really loses himself and needs to kind of find who he is once again. And once he does that, it's just a really nice. It's a really cute movie. It's really
It
cute.
is.
That's a great
I
movie
like
if you
how it
want to.
comes together too. And
Ex-
there's a great moment in the backyard, and you're like, oh no, oh, it's so
exactly.
awkward. Oh no.
It's so awkward and yet it's so fantastic. And especially, yeah, you don't even see it coming. It's like a nice little plot twist.
Yeah.
You're like, holy shit, that would make sense, and that's so
Yes.
funny. So that's definitely a movie. I'm sure you've seen it because it's very
Hmm.
popular. But if you haven't seen Crazy Stupid Love and you need something that you can't overthink, that's totally a good one.
Thank you for putting your problems in the chat for a movie
Yeah.
prescription. And thank you, Jared, for being
Thank
here.
you for having me. This was great.
Yes, I agree. Where can everyone find you online?
So on Twitter, I am Haibon underscore Jared. It's Haibon underscore Jared. And then on Instagram, it's just my name at Jared Haibon.
Yes, it's really easy if you search because you'll just come up like first right away. So that's
Sometimes
good.
that is good. Yes, it's usually
Hmm.
either me or Jared Leto.
Look
There's
for
only a
the
few Jareds.
look for the check mark and you're good.
Yes,
Yeah.
get that blue check.
You can find me pretty much all the time on Twitter at Miss Movies and Instagram Miss underscore movies. And yeah, I believe, let's see, what do I have coming up? Do I have anything? Oh, tomorrow I'm going to be on Meet the Movie Press with Simon and Jeff Snyder won't be there tomorrow, so I'm kind of taking his place myself along with some other person. We're going to talk about the Oscars and nominations and all that good stuff. And then on Tuesday, I'm going to be on Movie Talk. So those are some places that you can find me this week.
Sweet.
That's Friday the 26th of January and Tuesday the 30th of January. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah.
We will see you next time.
Bye, guys.
Bye. 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 Bye.